Is still in our society. Once confined to the university environment, it has spread into the society with negative outcomes, threatening lives, disrupting businesses, and undermining progress. And so this morning on Midweek Connect, we will be looking at what we tag youth and the menace of cultism, and as well as the efforts of the state government in the war against cultism. Welcome on board. I am Udwakobong Achibon. But first, let's give you the tidbits. Custodians of historical monuments have commemorated the 2025 International Museum Day in Benin City as part of a worldwide event honoring the role of museums in modern society. This year's theme, The Future of Museums in Rapidly Changing Community, underscores how these institutions must evolve while preserving cultural heritage.
Enlightening the youth for them to know so that the culture will not die in our time.
The significance today is to showcase our heritage, because Nigeria and Edo State at large is embedded with a lot of history.
It's like a Christmas day for the museum, where you showcase your way of living, the heritage of your people.
The moat around Benin Kingdom is the 8 wonders of the world. So it is important that Edo State government should look inwards.
Should protect the moat. They are not protecting it. They are covering it. They are pouring in very many things. In other parts of the world, when they have that type of a thing, it's well protected.
Management of National Film and Video Censors Board, Edo State, have paid a courtesy visit to the management of NTA Benin Zonal Center. They seek for collaboration and partnership in the fight against uncensored negative influence of movies that are detrimental to children and the society at large.
Sure, as we are a largely cultural state, that movies conform with all legal laws to encourage and increase the cinema culture and to educate our young and vulnerable about the dangers of uncensored and unclassified movies.
I'm inviting you, please come on board. Let's have your jingles. Let's get resource persons from your establishment so that from time to time we will educate the public on the dangers or the implication of not regulating what our youth are watching.
A Catholic Education Center in Edo State has taken a significant step in promoting the welfare and empowerment of the boy child. Therefore, a Memorial Catholic Education Center recently organized a sensitization exercise to raise awareness about the importance of boys in society.
It's important that we pay attention to the boy child, to recognize the unique role of a boy child in the society. And it's important because it is the boy child that grows to become a father, that grows to become a husband, and that grows to become a key player in the society.
My message to the boys now is that they should try everything possible to always have a positive mindset. They should be thinking rightly. They should be thinking along the right side. They should not feel pressure. They should not look at others to judge themselves.
The boys need to be celebrated because in our society today we see that it's only the female counterparts that are being celebrated, that are being protected, adored and advised.
Yes, this is Midweek Connect on NTA Benin. We do apologize for beginning the program behind schedule, but it is on already, and after this time out we will dive into the discussion. Please stay tuned.
Do you live in Aduawa and environs, or you need a conducive and open field in Aduawa for your wedding receptions, birthday parties, annual ceremonies, family or corporate events in a serene and conducive environment that is close to nature? Then look no further. NTA Benin Aduawa is a place for you. NTA Benin Aduawa has a large field for all your events and ceremonies. Also, at NTA Corporate Headquarters TV Road, we have a state-of-the-art fully air-conditioned ultra-modern hall for all kinds of indoor events with a standby generating set, therefore ensuring uninterrupted power supply. We also have NTA Pavilion for all outdoor events at the same venue. Guess what? Our prices are affordable, locations are easily accessible, venues conducive and highly secured. Our outside broadcast van is available 24 hours and can broadcast your events live. And above all, you can air your events on our award-winning program like Events and Style. And any booking on the field or hall gets a bonus of free news coverage. Wow! What are you waiting for? Grab this opportunity and have your celebration in a grand style. For inquiries and bookings, please call NTA Benin, the award-winning station.
Obokia, otherwise known as Iwaka.
This is Health Plus. Today, searchlight on universal healthcare. What does it mean?
Diphtheria is a vaccine-preventable disease. It is highly fatal.
It's good to sing praise unto our God, for it is pleasant and praise is comely.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode on Youth Arena. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have in store for us today. Some of you might have experienced
the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Hey there, welcome to another exciting episode in Top 7 Jams. It's your girl Pearl.
I just took a shot of whiskey, it's sunny nature. I tell myself say I know coke, but I cry. We dance like
If you are just joining us, this is Midweek Connect on NTA Benin, and of course it's a program that we do x-ray what happens in the society, and as well we listen to you too on what you have to say. And of course we do also have guests in the studio that do talk on what we have on ground to discuss. And this morning we have in the studio here, of course, a regular. He's a human rights activist, Solomon Idiogo.
Good morning. And my viewers at home, a very good morning this morning.
Thank you so much for always obliging us your presence. Thank you so much. Yes, a lot is happening in the society today, and we are beaming our light on cultism, youth, and the menace of cultism, and of course the effort of the state government in fighting this war. But before we go into that discussion, I think we have a background. Let's take a look.
Cultism refers to the activities of secret societies or groups that operate outside the law, offering often using intimidation, violence, and other unlawful means to achieve their objectives. Their actions can lead to a significant number of consequences ranging from insecurity, disruption of social order, threat to democracy, amongst others. According to African Health Report, 1,800 lives have been lost to cult-related violence between January and September 2024. Edo State was at the top of these statistics with majority of such reported cases. Cultism has become a destructive force in many Nigerian states, with Edo State not being exempted. In Edo State, the menace of cultism has reached alarming proportions, and grappling with the challenges, the Edo State governor has declared a total war on cultism, with signing a secret cult and similar activities prohibition law 2025 into effect, introducing stiffer penalties for individuals involved in cult-related activities, even as far as demolition of properties. This anti-cultism law has gained momentum, with the civil society organization, Edo Youth, and others backing the state government. This will be the focus of today's Midweek Connect.
Thank you, Mabel. Yes, thank you, Mabel, for that report. Yes, Mr. Solomon, setting the ball rolling. Let's begin. No, when we look at the society today, especially here in the state, we see cultism is still thriving. And begin to ask, how did we get here?
How did we get here? The similar question that we'll be asking ourselves as Nigerians now.
How did we get here?
Once upon a time, it was the dollar to 1 naira. That Nigeria was not the poverty capital of the world, or second poverty capital of the world. That inflation was not resident in Nigeria. It's the same question. But the painful part is that while the first on the issue of the poverty and others is about the economic indices as made by government and can only be controlled by government. The second one is though having in the past government's influence, but practically and totally issues of wickedness, hard-heartedness, and just to say that complete act of wickedness by some young men and women who see it as a means to oppressing people to getting what they want. Having said that, I think that it's painful that cultism are taking many lives in Edo. I don't want to talk about Nigeria because at the point Edo became almost the capital of cultism in the world, where people could just have disagreements over a cup of tea or a bottle of beer or mere communication difference, and then the next thing you hear, the accounting scores on the streets, and that's not at all very, very nice. So many promising young men and women, some persons too who have been victims of circumstance that we may refer to as innocents, and the casualties of the war across in the times of cultism, rankling, and menace. So if you ask, how did we get here? It can be related to like how Boko Haram, in quotes, was established in Nigeria. That some political elements in the past got them involved in their political games to get power, or if you like, snatch power. If you listen to the MBM world president the other day while talking on one of your sister channels, he was making reference to say politicians use them during elections. That just to allude to the fact when we in the civil society community says that government is part of the problem. But again, we must thank God that we have a governor who thinks that there's a need to nip it even now. That is not too late to addressing it. And that's why we from the civil society community are very much in support of the actions of Mr. Governor in trying to curb cultism, kidnapping, in Edo State. First, by ensuring that there's a law. Though there are divergent views about the application of the law. But in my dialects, in our local parlance, we say, or in our local dialect, we say, "Amaye mi movie yon, I think that's the action, Mr. Governor, simply means that if you do not use the ancestral shrine to hold and cripple your mother's child as a senior son, most likely your father's children will not understand that you could take certain decisive actions." I think that the approach of Mr. Governor is cheating, excepting for the fact that the Commissioner of Police Edo State have abused the privilege given to
before
him
we go to that, I want to
by going to arrest even innocent persons,
we will come
which
to arrest.
has created tensions. You can see what happened in Benin yesterday. That the actions of the Commissioner of Police failing to realize that he's just a privileged individual as a Commissioner of Police in Edo State does not give him right to prove or to assert God and Godship to himself. Because when you arrest people, you profile them. We are told in terms of that number. We in the civil society community are not worried even if you arrest 1,000 persons. But let it be said that the 1,000 people you arrested are culpable of criminal activities, either courtesan, kidnapping, or murder. But whereas, rather than the Commissioner of Police going after hoodlums, he goes to beer parlors, he goes to lounges, clubs, hotels, and even when they see a few persons gathered, as much as people coming out of their houses, maybe in numbers, maybe going to an event, they'll be calm. It is not bad when you say you are applying judge's rule, but it is bad when you don't apply judge's rule to the latter. The judge's rule also provides for screening, or if you like, profiling of individuals arrested, so that in the end you will separate the criminals from the innocent one. Mr. Commissioner gave a marching order, and we are aware that since then the courtroom became filled up with innocent persons, including a 17-year-old boy who's already missed his WAEC examinations. So these are part of the fallouts. However, we think that the decisive action by Mr. Governor is laudable. Why we think that the Commissioner of Police, even in an attempt to sanitize the system, must apply the democratic rule respecting the rights of individuals, which we refer to as human rights, because his actions are tantamount to human rights violations.
Yes, you mentioned you've gone a bit far from before we would have reached there. We are looking at among the youth the menace of this cultism, and if we should trace to history, it said that it started at something like people coming
pressure
together,
group, like a pressure group.
Yes,
yeah,
to fight for social justice.
It was in
to
schools.
begin to say, and yes, starting in schools and all that, and it was being used like at that point in time for that, to achieve that. But over time, it became something that people now use it for social vices and all that. And one begin to ask, what really happened? What really caused the switch from what it used to be to what we now see? That we see that people are in cults now. They are not even afraid to tell you they're in cult groups, and then they begin to do one kind of activity or cult-related activity, crime and criminality in the society. How did it now?
How it snowballed? It goes back to the first question you asked.
Yes,
how did we get here?
Yeah, because
if you want to go down memory lane, history has it that cultism started in higher institutions, in university days, when the likes of Professor Shoyinka felt that there was a need to bring a few students together to curb the oppressions therein in the institutions as it then was, and to ensuring that their needs and their requests are addressed. So like a pressure group, as it were. Unfortunately, the society is dynamic. Like if you ask me, I'll tell you, I said that without fear, stand with that number. That police is a product of the society. When you say they collect bribe, they're a product of the society. So it gradually snowballed, and then from one cult group, you had breakouts of various cult groups, you know, and then it became proliferated. Suffice to say that if the first one had an agenda positive towards curbing menace of oppression in their university days. You know, when there's this common terms that when the need or use of an item is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. Those who later, because it was not designed for hoodlums, it was not initially designed by history, designed for riffraffs, bus drivers, conductors, mechanic, and carpenters. It was initially by history designed to be for intellectuals, for people who have sane minds, who had motives to redress, the oppressive things that were happening in their time. But now, cultism is not within the confines of statutory institutions anymore. It's even in primary schools. So abuse are becoming inevitable. You imagine where a bus driver is the head of a court group, and you know what we refer to bus drivers, with all due respect to them, to be agberus, and then you know what they can make use of. Now it takes me back when, if you look at the comment credited to late General Sani Abacha when he said, when insurgents stays more than a week in any society, know that government is involved. And I make bold to say this, that over time, or successive governments have been involved in empowering court groups, especially during elections. And because they now have members sitting at the hallowed chambers, whether I call it National Assembly, whether I call it State Assembly, even in the police, army, and many of the security agencies, they have members. Where at times, there was a time
from statistics that have been raised, and
my sister, look, I'm not talking fallacy. There was a time we took a fight to the state police command to say that they must first purge the policing system, because we now discovered that policemen were not even doing hits for their court groups, and then when you report issues of court activities, they will expose you to danger. So yeah, the story and the narrative may not be different, because over time, with all due respect, the police authority had tried to also look inward and looked at a way of sanitizing the aspect. But I'm just saying that we had them over time being in government, sitting at the top level of government. You understand? And as such, when you arrest them, even at the point the police are complaining that when you arrest them, before you start prosecution process, calls had come from top government functionaries to say release them. They are our boys. You understand? Excepting for the approach this current state government has taken, that he has zero tolerance. If you belong to whatever you belong, it's your problem.
Okay, before you go into that, means that people are fueling this. We seem to see this something that continues unabated. It means that
at a point when the fight against cultism was high, also high. You remember too that during that Adams Oshomole, if you recall, the AIG then had to instruct the arrest of some persons, principal persons in government who were government aides, if you recall. That was also because at a point, Governor Adams Oshomole, as he then was, decided that enough was enough. You understand? Because what they do is that when elections is approaching, they would need to meet, because they have membership cutting across all levels, and then they want to harness the strength, and they are capable of doing serious harassment and, if you like, harm during elections, and they recruit them to achieve their aim. And let me tell you, it is easy to arm people, but it's very difficult to disarm them, and that's where the comment of late Nnamdi Azikiwe comes that education makes people easy to govern but difficult to enslave.
Well, let me ask you, what makes the youth so culpable to joining these cult groups? A lot of times you see, although most of them, like one I heard saying, he just came into, he didn't know. He was just going to say, we sit out with friends and all that, they're going somewhere to, and before he knew it, he was somewhere he didn't know that before he was there. What makes you so culpable?
Let me say that was just
joining cult groups and being used.
That was just a way to look for looking for a leeway out of it. They cannot claim that they are not aware. Yeah, if they claim that they were coerced, yes, it's possible. It's a common thing that people are forced to join. Now, some want to have power. Some want to have, because the selling bait is that when you join the cult group, you have power, you have influence, and that's where, you know, unlike before now, when you know they have freedom to want to call their big men in high places to come and rescue them. They'll just tell you if you get problem. I remember maybe so person for so place. I remember. You see that man where they so place. Now I remember. You see, you understand? And then it begins to make their head swell. And then another thing that had made it very high is the influence of drugs and alcohol. Now if you ask, the lifestyle of young persons want to make it quick. Unlike when you were growing up, where your parents still had time to teach you morals, either by way of taste, by moonlight, or by building cultural values. While you were growing up, those things have become extinct. Families no longer have time for family discourse. Mother chasing after father, you know, wanting to catch up because he also wants to make money for the family. Father wanting to meet up with friends who he perceive are doing far better than him. And then the children are left at the mercies of nanny, you know, at the crèche or school authorities. And in the end, peer groups. That's the major thing. Peer group influence. You see the difference between the developed client. I was watching a video yesterday where somebody compared living in the white land, that's foreign land, the way they appreciate their children, and living in Africa. That when a child comes to peck the mother, the video was revealing that a child came to peck the mother and the mother picked up her slippers and started chasing the child. You are spoiled. Who taught you how to kiss? And when a child kisses his or her mother in developed clime, they appreciated. Oh, lovely, how are you? You understand? But here they see it and read it from. We don't teach sex education, and so when parents try to teach them, they will become influenced. So it has been basically answering your question: influence of peer group, and then the economic issues, and then because if you are in within our circles, where we call it development world, where we try to interact with victims, you discover that some are, in quotes, innocently, you know, talked in on the fact that you don't know that lecturer. Now remember now, you know, if you fail, if you join now, all the courses where you don't pass.
In fact, somebody was even saying that why is even thriving in the universities that even people in the environment,
lecturers,
like someone
lecturers,
like,
students,
because you see universities come up with effort and all that to curb racism in school.
That's where I'm going. That's a systemic thing. I'd mentioned that once upon a time, people in high places in government in this state were clear members, known members, but of course you know they are untouchable. And then even security agencies, members, we are members. And then you understand what it is. Say no worry, if they arrest you, get member for there, you go run am. That's the language, you go run am. And so I want to seize this as an opportunity to saying that the attempt by those state governments to putting stringent.
Okay, before we go to Edo State government, then that means that there's a lacuna in how things should be done. You are talking about parents. You did mention parents and all that. So what do you think? Who and who should be, apart from government, coming to government,
parents.
Should be involved?
Parents.
What should they be doing differently to help youth?
Parents must learn to understand that this modern days is very dynamic. For instance, when you give birth to a child in those days, they can't even press cell phone. But I'm sure if you have a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old child at home, those areas you do not know in your cell phone, he or she knows it far better than you, because they have advanced memory, advanced brains, much more than we had in our time. Now, because in our time we didn't have cell phones, in our time we didn't have opportunities to use the computer, but in their time, what we give to them to play with are electronic toys, and they it's like a computer. They advance, they grow, they explore. Now, family must bring back family union and family culture. We have lost touch with culture. We have lost cultural values. There are no cultural norms anymore. So it must start from the family circle and then takes you back to the religious circle. These days, pastors and clergies, if you like call them imam, you call them bishops, you call them traditional leaders, have left them because the reasons why you have them. What are the roles of the niggas, for instance? They are supposed to help the Oba oversee their dukedom, while they are assisted by the Odionways and the Okagiles. That's the traditional tree of management by the traditional stool. But how many of them are doing it? The niggas are interested in selling lands alongside with their Odionways and Okagiles. And then it goes back to schools, where they are supposed to be taught morals, academic norms, and values. And you have lecturers, deans, and all whatnot you have in the university being members of the court groups. Can a snake give birth to tortoise? You can't give what you don't have. So we must go back to see as much as we can to assist in ensuring that there are moral values, economic values. In fact, religious studies should be taught better, not the monetary aspect. While I condemned the actions of the police in recent times by doing massive arrests without profiling and sending them to, because our correctional centers are not correctional centers, they are corruption centers. Because people who were not smoking and are sent to jails come back being smokers. Crimes happen within the. But I will make bold to say that I will applaud them in the era when we cried out that some of their members were taking advantage of the fact that there were police officers in uniform to do hits for their various club groups. We saw the police authority, especially in Edo State, as it then was, going to do an inner search and cleansing, and to a very reasonable extent, you can tell you that had a little bit died down. But that is not to say it's an uhuru yet. Government need to steam up and keep up this tempo of approach, but not the wrongly played by arresting innocent sons and daughters of Edo. Okay, and that's why I'm writing tension. And we come to that. You have anything to contribute, you can call the number 0703-695-7086. I repeat, 0703-695-7086. Yes, you're talking about government, and you've seen the Okwewo-led administration since coming on board. He's really been on the fight against cultism and other cult-related crimes. That's why we've seen the law, the cultism and the prohibition law 2025. Yes, offenses. It's on now, and we've seen the activities of government over time now for some weeks now, going out and of course that law stipulates 21 years imprisonment, 10 years imprisonment. Live, I think people
lives are ended, like a hang and all that, and then demolition of property, which we've seen ongoing in Benin. I want you to really, what do you say about the law itself and all it has stipulated?
It's good. It's just that a few of us also opine that the application of the law is becoming too stressed out, so to speak. Why some of us also believe that if you don't take this stick approach, because over time we are seeing the carrot approach that it didn't work, we are seeing the carrot stick approach that it didn't work, that this stick approach is productive. It can be sustained, but with a little amendments to the approach. What are the amendments? Whereas the law stipulates that when found guilty, you will lose your property to demolition and whatever, you get it. And then and a few other things. Some of us within the civil society community feels that the quick demolition, and I'll tell you what generated that opinion, the quick demolition of houses relating to cultists and kidnappers was getting too quick. If it was only to kidnappers, I'm sure it would not have been too much. But if you also look at it, if the governor does not sustain the steam of sending a message that I'm not ready to condone, I'm sure people would think that the government have come and gone. After all the IGG, the one you refer to as initial gragra, it will just die down. But we are seeing that this government has sustained it. Let me tell you what generated this opinion was the man who was said to have come to report his son, to say my son has committed murder, has committed a crime. And then in the end, the man's house was demolished. We got to know to the extent that the man and his wife had aided in assisted the police in arresting the boy. And then they are likely to lose their child to the crime. And you have made them also lose their property at old age. And that's the sympathy where the society community feels that, look, for every rule, there's an exception. Well, if you look at the den of thieves, kidnappers that have been demolished, we actually didn't have to make noise or talk about it. We just allow it slide. Even when people try to raise issues that the application of the law is too stringent, like I said, a few of us also opine that if you do not use your ancestral shrine to cripple down your mother's child, very most likely your father's children may not or will not understand, the gravity of what they are doing. So for us, we think that government should try as much as they can to be consultative, not in how do I put it, steaming down, no, but steam up. Why some of us opined the other day that when you seize a house, convert it for public use rather than demolition is an opinion. You understand? Because it can create economic benefits. They made reference to the likes of the property seized from GSP, the YAMU, if I remember. And then those are some of the things. But however, for a few of us too, personally, I do not think that it's been too bad. Personally, I speak for myself now, maybe not for the entire civil society community. I see it differently. That we have for some time known how at a point bloodshed and bloodletting was ongoing in this state. And then if this demolition, you understand, and merciless attack, or confrontation from government, we curb the menace of courtesan and kidnapping, is a welcome development.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, all the chiefs have been saying that they understand.
Please, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is JB Isibo.
All right.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm calling from Panamani. The man with 3 days, my brother, Lopez.
All right, continue with your contribution.
And I want to thank you for all what you have been saying.
Thank you.
So concerning this issue you are talking about, at least we need to avoid, at least people need to avoid the government. What is doing is good. But concerning the police aspect, people that be arrested, they are innocent. That is not the way to
I agree with you.
Understand? So that is not the way to fight crime. So for the zoning of artists, that is not the way to. They should find another solution to that crime, because let's look for the person that commit offense. He will suffer it. So that is for my own contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate it.
Yes, let me quickly also put this on record that as civil society practitioners or actors in the state, we are taking this fight to government. And what we got to know too, I'll tell you, the governor did not, I'm quoting government, did not ask the commissioner of police to arrest innocent Edo sons and daughters. What the marching order the governor gave to the commissioner of police is arrest culpable persons who have committed crimes. Go to their head and bust them, feed them out and flush them out. That was the command he gave. Not going after innocent persons. So, and that's where we agree with you. That, now people are thinking that it's Mr. Governor that gave. Yeah, they have their government have their flaws. I can't take that away. But on this issue of illegal arrests or reckless arrests by the commissioner of police, we followed up these cases to the extent we got to know that when the first 50 was taken to court, only about 3 or 4 of them were culpable members of the secret court that you can say. The others were just random picks, and then some who just left their house to go buy tea and bread at their junction, and then another 57. So when another 68 came, the judges now decided to start unveiling and started asking questions. Where were you arrested? And that's how they started getting bail. Because the rule when you bring a case and you say murder, courtesan and kidnapping, what the judge would do naturally is to refer the case, the duplicate file, to be sent to DPP for advice. That's looking at their crimes and to advise whether they have case to answer. And that usually takes time. So because of our cries, the court now decided that there was a need to start looking at the matters, which made it even more tedious for them, because they had cases to answer to start asking one person after the other, how were you arrested, where were you, what's your name, where were you gotten, and then you see the IPO, you are asking. We were in court one day when one of the IPOs were asked, did you go to their house to search, and then all the answers was negative, and the judge said no, this can't be happening. You understand? And we applaud such judges. I don't want to start mentioning names.
Okay.
You understand? That the court is not a dump yard. The police should do their work. When you arrest, the judges should provide that you profile. You screen them, shift the wheat from what? And then allow the innocent one go. The CP will tell you he's not interested in collecting bribe. I am not accusing him of collecting bribe, because you must say what you know. I don't have facts to that effect to say he had collected bribe. But what we are quarreling about is your order to your men to arresting people without allowing them be screened. You just arrest them by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening. By 9 o'clock the following morning, you have arraigned them in court with reckless and callous trump-up charges of murder, courtesan and kidnapping, and that's unacceptable to us, and that's why we are crying out.
Yes, the cautions will be taken when trying to apply the law that the governor has, so that you don't abuse it,
so that people not start saying yes. You can hear what my brother just said now. I may not know the face or catch the voice, but I'll just tell you one thing. The point he has also made, you see, he did not say that courtesan is a good thing or criminality is good. All he's advising that police, and you could see the tension that had caused yesterday.
All All right, by way of wrapping up, yes, we've really been looking at cultism and among the youth and efforts of the state government, because we don't want to be seeing this. Well, you know, in this state here, we notice that from time to time we do have cult clashes.
My
From
advice,
time to time, they keep coming.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, lives are lost. And it's like Edo State is all eyes on Edo State.
I'm sure.
As your parting words, with few minutes we have, what would you say?
No, I'm sure that with this new law and its application, the message is clear. But I would advise government to partner or liaise with groups.
Okay.
Groups. I'm not talking of secret court groups. I'm talking of responsible groups, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the society movement, community in Edo State, you know, the opinion molders, traditional rulers, clergy, you know, to, you know, letting them know its plan and ensuring that you pass the message across so that it will be a collaborative effort. If we didn't have access to reaching out to government, we would have been made to believe that it was the governor who had asked the commissioner of police to arrest every dictum and Harry in the states.
And what I think the orientation agency too, information.
No, we don't have that. Don't just bring. I don't want to hear. I do not want to hear because it does not exist. It just exists in name. There is no national orientation agency that we know.
Thank you
so much. They are there. They are just figure. They don't mention it. It doesn't exist.
I think if they hear it, they should be.
They don't exist. They don't exist. They collect salary. They don't exist.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure having you in the studio to share your thoughts on topical issues. Well, viewers there at home, that has been the size of our program this morning, Midweek Connect, where we've been looking at the menace